Good afternoon and welcome to the latest edition of the Stargate Universe Sci-Fi Cult Classics documentary. I'm delighted to be joined by the one and only Kira Clavell, who played the Gaul sort of queen of the system Lord Amaterasu in Stargate SG-1. And I suppose, Kira, first of all, are you a fan of sci-fi? As a teenage girl growing up, were you actually a sci-fi sort of fan, a sci-fi sort of Trekkie?
Yes, I'm like so Star Trek and sci-fi, and saw the movie when it first came out of Stargate, and was a huge fan of Kurt Russell and everything, and so it was a thrill to be able to be part of the Stargate universe and play Amaterasu. Who wouldn't want to play a Japanese sun goddess? Gold.
Yeah, and I suppose, Kira, in terms of the Stargate sort of, you mentioned seeing the movie, so you're probably well aware of, obviously the TV series was probably running for 1 or 2 seasons. You probably heard that Richard Dean Anderson was in it. I suppose Christopher Judge would have been the big name. I suppose Michael Shanks and Amanda Tapping were probably both starting out then. In terms of when you heard of such a project being in your own doorstep in Vancouver and such a with Richard Dean Anderson, and were you sort of drawn to it when you heard that there was chances of roles coming about?
Oh, absolutely. And actually, when it first came about, I was still based in Toronto. So even back then, I was sending out self-tapes and taped auditions out to Vancouver, auditioning for Stargate, because it was just one of those shows that are just so amazing. And with the lineup of people who were in it, and the storylines, and all of the cool characters that would be able to be in that show, there was always something that was so interesting to go and audition for.
Yeah, and in terms of, you mentioned they're sending tapes and auditions in certain roles. So do you think they had you, did your talent agent recommend you for the role of Amaterasu, or was this a role they created, do you think, with you in mind, given your sort of intensity, I suppose, in terms of the role in portraying that sort of character and her sort of background? Do you think was a role that, do you think it was drawn up for you, or was it something that a talent agent had told you about and you auditioned like everyone else?
Well, I really had I had a really fun background of a lot of different kind of ethereal creatures, and that kind of the characters that I had played up until that point were always pretty strong and very I guess not your typical kind of, girl next door character. There were always like either like assassins or sci-fi or demons or that kind of thing. When I got this particular role, I actually had, the producers told me when I got the role, was that Peter DeLuise had actually recommended me for it, which was so lovely. I was so thankful about that. So that's how it had come about, was because of Peter.
And I suppose in terms of the character sort of description for Amaterasu, in terms of, obviously there is a god, like there is a bit of ancient sort of history to her sort of character as well. And did you obviously put your own sort of spin? Did you bother sort of looking her up, trying to find out what was said or mentioned about her, or just think, listen, I'm just going to go in with a blank slate and do it my way, and sort of, or were you sort of intrigued, saying, I wonder what this sort of person was about? Or, well, obviously she's a sort of obscure name. If you aren't aware with Japanese sort of history, you probably have never heard of her.
Well, I did research her when I got the role, and also too, the wardrobe people and the creators had sent me drawings of the character itself. So that lent a lot to the image and the vibe, and also researching about Goa'ulds, and knowing that she was a very strong personality, and she was going to be coming in with, and there was going to be a conflict. There was a lot of things that the script just gave so much, so it was really something, a pleasure to kind of fill the boots of that character.
Yeah, and I suppose to sort of portray that sort of vengeance on sort of screen that Amaterasu sort of brought. It's not sort of evilness sort of way. It's sort of portray a sort of a facial expression and try and hold that sort of expression throughout, that sort of angry sort of look the whole sort of time. That's sort of a hard thing to terms of say to try and keep yourself in that sort of zone in terms of not being able to relax your sort of facial features.
Well, it's funny because whenever the cameras were not rolling, like the whole cast and everyone there was just so lovely. Like, I mean, for the boardroom scene, I'm sitting beside Michael Shanks, who's a lovely person, and just, there would be jokes that would be going around, and they also made everyone feel so welcome on set. So, it was a pretty relaxing thing. I think the most stressful thing was trying to know precisely how to pronounce gold, because one person would think it would be said a certain way, and another, maybe someone else would be saying, no, it's this way, and you're like, oh, so for the actual character, I think it's more so when the camera starts rolling, if you've done your homework and you feel that you've connected with the character, you fall into it. So there's times when I've probably kind of kept my I don't necessarily think I'm method or anything like that. I think I like to kind of be more chill when the camera's not going, and then when the camera is going, then I'll put that character on. So because the face that you hold probably will stay for you the longest time. So.
And I suppose, Kira, in terms of you're on set, I suppose, and the one thing about sort of we all know about Stargate watching it is the voice enhancement they do, the gold, and speaking to
Oh yeah.
you that sort
what
of
do you mean? I always talk like this, James.
Sort of, it's that sort of you sort of trying to are you psychologically thinking to yourself though that I need to sound sort of tougher, I sort of need to sound meaner, even though they're going to enhance your voice, you sort of think you need to stay in that sort of zone that you need to almost talk tough as well.
That's a good question. I think in the zone, I don't necessarily I guess kind of feel like the voice that happens is each character that I play, it's different. I kind of gear it towards whatever character that I'm playing. But for this particular one, I did feel that she needed to be more stern and more direct and more succinct for a lot of things. So whether or not they were going to enhance it so differently, or or however they were going to, I needed to portray that anyways. So I think just focusing on what the character was like, was the voice will come with it.
Yeah, I suppose we sort of know you in terms of the roles of the New Order, sort of part one and sort of part two, and that sort of role that you have to sort of come across in terms of your interaction sort of with your other sort of goals, say rivals or sort of kindred sort of spirits. You're sort of the one
Right.
sort of that sort of connection as well probably has to stay strong as well.
Oh yeah, well it's really interesting because some of my like close friends have come from that show. The like Kevin Ohitsu, who played another one, and as well as like Steve Basic, who played Cumulus. We've all stayed in touch and been friends, and Kevin, who was also one of the rivals, is actually one of my good friends. So and then Vince was who played like the doctor, I believe. He and I worked on a couple different other shows as well. So it's funny because those rivals all turned out to be good friends in the end.
And I suppose, Kira, in terms of that, in terms of your working day coming in terms of playing the role of Stargate, from costume design to be on set, were you talking a long sort of day? And in terms of, was there any times that you were probably wanted for shows in terms of Stargate, that you were on sort of other projects or other sort of series, you couldn't come back and commit or for more sort of episodes because you were already committed to something else?
You know, those the industry is always something where you're on something and then that's kind of when the other opportunities come. So I just feel that whatever opportunities do click and work out schedule wise are the ones that are meant to be. So it's been a really interesting kind of ride for how the characters play. All of the different characters that I've played in this kind of genre have been a lot of fun. So I think with Stargate, it was definitely one that if there were things that were missed because I was on it, I was there. It wasn't something that I did miss because it was such an amazing experience.
Yeah, and I suppose, Kira, you mentioned that, I suppose, being a fan of the original Stargate movie and Kirk Douglas, and as you mentioned, amongst others. But when you found out then, in terms of you going to be on Stargate SG-1 with the likes of Richard Dean Anderson as
Yeah.
such, but sort of a eureka sort of moment for you as well, in terms of obviously being face to face with MacGyver himself.
Yes, well, it was funny because my mom is a huge MacGyver fan, and she had this huge crush on him. So when I got the role, she was actually in a huge tizzy. So it was something where that kind of like, you know, also I could feel her excitement about it on top of the excitement that I had about it. So it's been amazing. And also, you know, I didn't have any scenes with Richard really, but I mean, um, there was like a couple times like in the dressing the wardrobe and hair and makeup room that we would encounter each other, and he was always like so nice and just, you know, had like this really cool presence. So it was really nice.
And I suppose, Kira, lastly, before I let you go, probably the hardest question I'll probably ask you, and I'll probably save this one for you. In terms of, let's pretend there was a Stargate SG-1 sort of encyclopedia, a sort of dictionary as such, and they put your character, Amaterasu, in that sort of encyclopedia. And they left two blank sentences underneath, and they asked you, Kira Clavell, having played the role of Amaterasu, to write those two sentences to portray her. What would you like those to read?
Ooh, interesting. Let's see.
I'll save the best to last.
Yes. I'd say that speaking of Amaterasu, that she travels very light. Only what she wears through the Stargate, so no carry-on needed, and she holds her ground even in 5-inch heels when she's walking down through the Stargate gate.
Always important, I suppose, anyway, in terms of your modeling, sort of further business on the road. Kira, an absolute pleasure talking to you this evening to relive your memories of your time playing the Gowl, Star System, Lord Queen, Amaterasu in Stargate SG-1. Oh, something actually forgot me here. I just spotted it here before I let you go. You also auditioned for the role of Taylor in Stargate Atlantis, I do believe.
Yeah, I did, and it was lovely. I think I was told that it was down to myself and, you know, the actress who got the role, who did a fantastic job. She kicked ass. So more power to her, because, you know, she had like the strength and muscles to do that role. So I'm very happy to have auditioned for it, and happy to have played the sun goddess when I had the chance to as well.
Kira, an absolute pleasure talking to you today. We wish you a prosperous remainder, I suppose, 2021, we'll say.
Thank you. Yes.
And we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And please, God knows, sometime in the future we may speak again.
Oh, well, thank you, James. It was really a pleasure to speak with you as well. And good luck with everything, and stay safe.
Thank you, Kira.
Bye.